In the Urantia book, the revelators tell us that we would be more than interested in the planetary conduct of a type of mortal, called the non-breathers, because they inhabit a sphere in close proximity to our world. This statement has given rise to discussion amongst students of the Urantia Papers as to whether this non-breather world in close proximity is in our solar system, or somewhere close by, but outside of it. Let's investigate and see what we can find out about the non-breathers. The revelators explain that there are three main types of atmospheric mortal beings: the super-breathers, the mid-breathers, and the sub-breathers. A fourth type, the non-breathers, represents a radical or extreme adjustment to the planetary environment and are separately considered. Beings such as the Urantia races are classified as mid-breathers. You represent the average or typical breathing order of mortal existence. If intelligent creatures should exist on a planet with an atmosphere similar to that of your near neighbor, Venus, they would belong to the super-breather group. While those inhabiting a planet with an atmosphere as thin as that of your outer neighbor, Mars, would be denominated sub-breathers. If mortals should inhabit a planet devoid of air, like your moon, they would belong to the separate order of non-breathers. Of the atmospheric types in Satania, about 2.5% are sub-breathers, about 5% super-breathers, and over 91% are mid-breathers, altogether accounting for 98.5% of the Satania worlds. Non-breathers account for the remaining 1.5% of Satania worlds. With this general information, and knowing that there are 619 inhabited worlds in Satania, we can calculate how many of each type there are. If we take 619 and multiply that by 1.5% for the non-breather worlds, we get a little over 9. We can then do the same for the other atmospheric types. Then we take our totals and round them, rounding the mid-breather total up, as they tell us it is over 91%. By adding these totals, we get 619, the total number of inhabited worlds in Satania at this time. We then know the numbers of each atmospheric world types in Satania. We can confirm the number of non-breather worlds in our local system of Satania is 9, as stated by the text. The percentages of non-breather worlds goes up slightly, to under 3% in the local universe of Nebadon, and up to under 7% in the whole super-universe of Orvonton. We are told there are so few of these non-breather type worlds because our section of the super-universe is more recently organized and full of meteoric space bodies. Worlds without a protective atmosphere are subject to incessant bombardment by these wanderers. To envision this, we can imagine all the shooting stars we see that get burnt up as they enter our atmosphere, and then imagine not having an atmosphere for protection. In the early development of life on these worlds, it's hard to imagine much that the evolving species could do to protect themselves from meteors, save for perhaps living underground or inside cave systems. But as the species evolves and becomes more advanced, it may be possible for them to live on the surface, as they begin to build electrical installations to consume or shunt the meteors. But meteors are not the only thing they have to worry about. These worlds are also subject to disastrous electrical storms of a nature unknown on Urantia. During such times of tremendous energy fluctuation, the inhabitants must take refuge in their special structures of protective insulation. These kinds of problems may be hard for us to imagine. However, it must be equally difficult for these beings to imagine disasters on our world, such as flooding, hurricanes, or tsunamis. In mind and character, the non-breathers do not differ from other mortal types. Life on the worlds of the non-breathers is radically different from what it is on Urantia. The non-breathers do not eat food or drink water as do the Urantia races. The reactions of the nervous system, the heat-regulating mechanism, and the metabolism of these specialized peoples are radically different from such functions of Urantia mortals. Almost every act of living, aside from reproduction, differs, and even the methods of procreation are somewhat different. On the non-breathing worlds, the animal species are radically unlike those found on the atmospheric planets. The non-breathing plan of life varies from the technique of existence on an atmospheric world. We might speculate that the evolutionary tree of life would be far less diverse on a non-breather world in comparison to a mid-breather world like our own. How might these beings develop communication? Sound waves need a medium to travel, so on a world with no atmosphere, animals and evolved beings would not be able to communicate through sound like we do. Perhaps body language and gesturing are some of the basic forms of communication that might develop. Another means that has been suggested is bioluminescence. Several organisms on Earth use bioluminescence for a variety of reasons, even as a form of communication. Telepathic communication could potentially offer another means by which they could share thoughts and ideas. The Urantia Papers tell us that they do get some outside help to communicate. Energy transmitters can function with regard to all forms of communicable perception. They can render a distant scene visible, as well as a distant sound audible. These beings, together with the energy transformers, are indispensable to the maintenance of mortal existence on those worlds having an impoverished atmosphere, and they are an integral part of the technique of life on the non-breathing planets. We may infer that worlds devoid of an atmosphere would also be lacking liquid water on the surface. A 2022 study showed that a prerequisite for silicon-based life is that a planet or moon not have significant amounts of free oxygen or liquid water. In that case, organic silicon compounds could exist. Could it be possible that non-breathers are silicon-based life? According to the Urantia Papers, there are over 1 million fundamental or cosmic chemical formulas which constitute the parent patterns and the numerous basic functional variations of life manifestations. With over 1 million cosmic chemical formulas underlying the vast spectrum of life, the possibilities for diverse and fascinating forms of existence throughout the inhabited universe await discovery. But if they are in close proximity to our world, what does that mean? And where could they be? The Urantia Papers state that Satania is composed of over 7,000 astronomical groups, or physical systems, and upwards of 2,000 brilliant suns. This suggests that 5,000 of the physical systems might orbit around brown dwarfs, or black dwarfs, or they could be rogue planets with moons. Or perhaps even something unrevealed. The papers also state that Satania's 619 inhabited worlds are located in over 500 different physical systems. 562 to be exact, after doing a little bit of calculating. Of the 619 inhabited worlds in Satania, 46 systems have 2 inhabited worlds. That's a total of 92 inhabited worlds that share a system with another inhabited world. That's about 14.8% of the inhabited worlds in Satania. We are told that 4 systems have 3 inhabited worlds, and only 1 system has 4 inhabited planets. That's about 2.6% of systems with 3 or 4 inhabited worlds. With a little deduction, we can determine that the remaining 511 systems have only 1 inhabited world. That's about 82.5% of the inhabited worlds in Satania. So where do we fit in? Is ours the only inhabited planet in our solar system? Or do we share this solar system with another inhabited world? Perhaps the biggest clue given in the Urantia Papers is when they say, you would be more than interested in the non-breathers because they inhabit a sphere in close proximity to Urantia. Close proximity could mean that these beings live in a nearby system. Perhaps the Alpha Centauri system, the nearest system to our own. The Alpha Centauri system contains 3 stars, Alpha Centauri A and B, and Proxima Centauri. Proxima Centauri has 2 known planets whose atmospheres are believed to have been removed by the star. Although this is not known for certain, it has been suggested that the revelator's use of the word proximity is a clue relating to Proxima Centauri. But then why not say in close proximity to your system, or Mon Matia, the name they call our system? They specifically say in close proximity to Urantia, our world. If this non-breather world is in our system, where might it be? Let's explore some of the possibilities. Ganymede is one of Jupiter's Galilean moons, and the largest known moon in our solar system, even larger than the planet Mercury. Ganymede is the largest known object in the solar system without an atmosphere, and the only known moon to boast a substantial magnetic field. Ganymede's magnetic field causes auroras, ribbons of hot, electrified gas, in the north and south pole regions of the moon. Because Ganymede is close to Jupiter, its magnetic field is embedded in Jupiter's magnetic field. This causes a physical process called magnetic reconnection, an explosive process that converts stored magnetic energy into kinetic energy and heat. Magnetospheric fireworks. Could this process between Ganymede and Jupiter lead to electrical storms of a nature unknown to us? Ganymede is the primary target for the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, JUICE for short, which launched in April of 2023. One of the main objectives for JUICE is the study of Ganymede's intrinsic magnetic field and its interactions with the Jovian magnetosphere. When it arrives in 2031, JUICE will spend 3 years exploring the moons of Jupiter, after which it will go into orbit around Ganymede for the remainder of the mission. What might we discover? Other worlds in our solar system have also been suggested as possible homes for the non-breathers. But for now, we can only speculate. Do you have any thoughts as to where this non-breather world could be? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.